All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Believe in Bills. Adam Benini and Sal Majorana. And Sal, look at this, man. Another blast from the past.
Yeah.
Former Bill and Patriot receiver, among others, Chris Hogan. Chris, welcome to the show. Good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Thank you for having me, guys.
I mean, we've
Chris,
seen you. You're active in the media. Patriots Report with Christopher Price, obviously, who we were on with the other night. And you do a terrific job. But good memories, man, of your time in Buffalo. What does a matchup like this mean to you?
I mean, listen, this is from a New England perspective. This is I talked about it earlier in the year that the Bills game was the biggest game of the season, and it was our first real test. And we were going into Buffalo. It was going to be a hostile environment. You guys know as well as I know how crazy that stadium can get. And then looking forward and into this game, this is the biggest game of the season again, and it just happened to be against the Bills and AFC East opponent. Hat and t-shirt game, a lot of stuff on the line for this team. Another challenge for, Vrabel and Drake, young quarterback, really a young team on offense. And, I really think this is going to be a shootout. I really am looking forward. Obviously the Bills, they're in a must win type situation for, trying to get their season to extend into January. So I'm looking forward. I really am. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the season.
Chris, I remember when you were here, the times that I would talk to you in the locker room, we talked more about lacrosse than we did football. Because back in the day, I covered the professional indoor lacrosse team in Rochester.
Yeah.
When the Bills season was over, and you played at Middlebury, right? I'm pretty sure it was Middlebury, wasn't it?
Penn State.
That's right, Penn State. There was somebody else in Middlebury. All right. Well, anyways, we talked about lacrosse just as much, and you were a terrific player. I know that. It was tough for you, right? Those were both sports that you kind of had a choice, right?
Yeah. I had a choice I could have played both coming out of college, made the decision to play lacrosse, and then went down my rare path of trying to get to the NFL.
Hey, well, speaking of wide receiver, look, Stefon Diggs. I made this point in the locker room in the Bills yesterday. I was talking to Clear Secure about it. 2020, when Diggs came to Buffalo, that was exactly the player that Josh Allen needed. I mean, his first 2 years, he didn't have that guy. And in his third year, the Bills presented him with a true stud at that position. Now, Drake Maye, a year ahead of time, in his second year, the Patriots have given stud at wide receiver. Can you quantify just how important Diggs has been to Drake Maye this year?
Yeah, I mean, no. To answer your question, no, I can't quantify it because he has just been. I think going into the season, that was such a huge question for everyone of how Steph was going to be, because we all know that there's been, some issues with him in the past of getting frustrated and whether it's a lack of leadership or being the right guy to be in the locker room. But he has been from start to finish, man, since when he got to New England, he has been such a crucial factor on this team. Not only has he been a leader in a room full of young receivers, guys that really haven't done much or been around the league. Obviously, Mac, who you guys know as well, has been a part of that. But Steph, I mean, from day one, I really think that he has just bought into everything that Vrabel has been coaching and everything that he has been preaching. And I think he's been a tremendous help with Drake and his progression and how he's just continued to progress, week in and week out. And having a reliable veteran receiver, a guy that's been around the league, that has done these things, that has won football games. He has really helped this team. And coming off an injury, I don't think anyone really didn't have the expectation, really didn't know what the expectations were going to be of how he was going to be able to perform week in and week out. And honestly, between Steph, Vrabes, and then obviously Josh McDaniels, loves having a receiver like Steph, a guy that's a smart guy that he can put in different positions, a guy that's capable of running different routes and getting open and catching the football. He's been he's been I'm going to call it one of the best additions to this team that Mike added, when he first came to New England to help a young quarterback, to help a young football team. And he really has. He's done a great job so far up to the season. So I think he's exceeded all the expectations that anyone has ever had for him.
Yeah, Chris, you referenced, the frustration factor with him and kind of some of the baggage that he comes with. And obviously that's rooted in Minnesota and certainly during his time and his exit here in Buffalo. And in a lot of ways, right? I mean, this is kind of the honeymoon phase, right? And the team is having success, similar to what happened here in Buffalo. It wasn't until the end when kind of things went south. But do you sense somehow from Diggs, from a distance, maybe I do, that this is somehow different, that he's matured and maybe learned from the past? And who knows what his future is, at his age and everything else. But I guess what I'm asking you is, I mean, the history, as well as anyone, know the dynamics of a locker room and certain types of players and all those things. Do you sense maybe a maturation or a different approach and growth from Stefon Diggs in this way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I honestly, I know Steph and, played against him, and I've never seen him act or behave in the way that he has been behaving this year. I mean, he's talking to the entire team before the games. He's very vocal in his leadership. You see him on the sidelines talking to Josh, talking to Drake. Just seems to be like the communication is there. And for a guy that hadn't played with Drake before, that's sometimes difficult to form a relationship, especially with a young quarterback, a guy that hasn't played with a lot of receivers or veteran receivers. So I do, man. I really think that he has matured in a really positive way. I think that he has totally bought into everything that Mike has been preaching and everything that he has been coaching. And I think that again, like you said, there really hasn't been a ton of frustration this year. We haven't really hit that huge overcome of adversity, right? We've had a couple of games where we've had slow starts, or, he didn't get the ball as much, but he's not on the sidelines getting frustrated, right? Maybe it's just some other guy's turn. Maybe it's Pop's turn. Maybe it's Mac's turn. Maybe it's Kyle Williams. Maybe it's the young guy, right? So seeing that, you got to say that he has matured as a football player, as a person, and not knowing really what the future is. But again, this year he has been incredible, man. He really has been. He's been a great team guy. I think that's what Braves has been looking for. I think that's how he's built this team first mentality, tough football players, guys that are go out there and grind and try to get wins. And, again, I mean, I think we're going to be looking for him to step up, coming into this last half of the season, crucial football, critical games that are going to be played. That's where Josh, that's where he's going to look for his guys, his veteran guys, the guys that have been there, to step up even more and be even more of a factor than they have for the beginning of the season.
Hey, two things I've got for you, Chris. One, left tackle, Will Campbell, obviously not going to play. So Vidarian Love, I think, is the guy. I'd like you to talk a little bit about what that means. And then secondly, have they turned the running game over to Treyvon Henderson? Have we gotten to that point where he is now going to be their main guy in the run game?
Yeah. So listen, Will Campbell has, again, another guy, that rookie left tackle. A lot of talk about him after the draft and, his arm length and all that nonsense and everything. But no one's talking about it anymore because the kid has played great for the entire season, went out with an injury. But listen, this is the NFL. This is going to happen. So next man up mentality. Josh is not going to blink. Braves is not going to blink. There's going to be a game plan, and everything's going to be kind of called in according to who's on the field. Right? He's not going to put this kid in a bad position, whoever's at left tackle. So I think that they will have a good game plan going forward with, that in mind, whether that's, chipping on the left side, extra protection, different personnel. There's a lot of things that Josh is a tremendous offensive coordinator, one of the best that I've ever been around. So I know that he'll have a good plan going forward with that in mind until hopefully Will can make it back. And then, listen, I I think what you're seeing in New England right now is a little bit of what we've seen with Josh and the backs that he's had in the past. The James White, LeGarrette Blount type situation where he has a back that is very dynamic with the ball in his hands, can do multiple different things, but also, he can, be spread out as a wide receiver, throw him screens, get him in the open field. But then you have Ramondre, who's, downhill runner, guys that are going to be able to kind of get through the tackles and hopefully, continue to have positive yards and take care of the football. So I think with both of those guys in the lineup, you're going to see just a mix of them in and out and really keep their legs fresh and put them both into situations and play calls that are going to be, they know what they're doing. You're going to get positive football plays out of them. I think Ramondre, I know he battled a lot of issues taking care of the football last year, but I really think that he's done a very good job this year. You can see the difference, guys. I mean, every single time someone has the football, when they're going into a situation where the play is going to be over or they're running through tackles, it's two hands on the ball, like every single time. If you watch it closely, even if you watch Steph carry the ball in the open field, he is not putting the ball on the ground because if he knows that there's guys coming for him, there's two hands on it. And when I watch that to me is a bunch of guys that they care a lot about what they're doing when the ball is being put in their hands, and they want to do what's best for the team, and that's taking care of the football first and foremost. So I think you're going to see going forward, with Ramondre back and healthy now, and hopefully he was able to get a little bit even healthier after the bye week. A mix of both of those guys.
So maybe as an extension, Chris, of that question, what's the approach Sunday from an offensive standpoint, right? I mean, there's the first game to refer to, obviously, and Maye has improved so much. I mean, he's a whole separate conversation. We'll have the Alan Maye conversation here in just a bit but based on what you're talking about, I mean, we all know that the Bills have been susceptible against the run. Mm-hmm. They've been a little bit better against it lately. We know what the stats say from a pass defense perspective, but we know that teams have also focused on running the football against them. So those numbers may be skewed. Christian Benford has been terrific of late, has really elevated his game in the secondary. The safety play has gotten better. They may be a little bit vulnerable at CB2. So, I mean, what do you figure? Put yourself in McDaniel's shoes and how does he attack the Buffalo?
I mean, with an extra week of preparation, he's going to have a great game plan going forward. I don't think that he's going to change. You're not going to see a complete change and shift in what they've been doing. They have been very focused on establishing a run game early, going to play action, letting Drake push the ball down the field. I think you're going to see a mix of that. I don't think that you're going to see a completely different offense this week. I think they're going to stick to what they know. I think they're going to stick to what they do well. I think with the extra week of preparation, Josh and his, coaching staff definitely took a deep dive into the first half of the season and what worked well for them, personnel groupings, formations, plays. I think that if anything, you're just going to see those things be put into different situations, right? Where it's different personnel or a different grouping of receivers or backs. And again, you're going to see things that they do well. I think the game plan for this game is to take care of the football. I think that's really what this team has, built their wins off of is, not turning the football over. And in a game like this, where there's a lot on the line, I think for both teams, taking care of the football is going to be the priority number one. It's going to be cold. Who knows what the conditions are? Windy. Buffalo and New England. Who knows what the weather can be on Sunday? I think it's just going to be a cold day. So I think that you're going to see heavy into the run game and get into their play action stuff, get the ball to their playmakers, and let them kind of make plays with the ball in their hands. And Drake has been doing such a great job of spreading the football around. You can't look at this offense and say that there's just one guy that's going to get the football, no matter what down it is, whether it's got to have it type situations in the red zone or third and short or third and long. I mean, he's spreading the football around really, really well. And he's throwing the deep ball well too. So that's obviously, trying to capitalize on those big play type situations. He's done a great job of, and so is anyone he's been throwing the football to. So I think that, the ball's going to be spread around. I think that there's going to be a heavy mix of, the run and pass and, do what they do well, take care of the football. And again, this is going to be a shootout with these two teams, man. I really do believe it. I am excited to watch Josh versus Drake. I know you wanted to get to it later, but I just think that you're going to see, Josh, I know, is going to be putting a lot of effort into this game, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Chris, Brady is the greatest quarterback in history, but he also had the easiest run in the AFC East of any quarterback in history, right? There was no competition. Adam and I are old enough to go back to Dan Marino versus Jim Kelly, and I really believe that Drake Maye and Josh Allen could be the next Kelly Marino in the AFC East. Are you excited just as an observer to see that these two guys are going to be around for probably the next decade going head to head?
Yeah, honestly, I just, with Drake and how he's been playing this year, and obviously Josh, MVP quarterback, this is like the tip of the iceberg, man. This is going to be some good battles for many, many years to come. I hope that both of them stay firmly where they are for the rest of their careers. And now, the AFC East has created a little bit of excitement, right? It's no longer, it was New England for such a long time. Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now the Bills have got Josh and they've this great team in McDermott, and all of a sudden now they're leading the charge and there's really no one really challenging them. And now you got these two young quarterbacks that are they're phenomenal in their position, and they're playing such at a high level that it is, man. It's going to be really fun to watch in the years to come. They're going to have some battles between them, and it's going to start. It started early this year, but I don't think anyone was prepared for New England to have the season that they're having this year. And now I think there's just going to be a whole nother level of excitement going into this game on Sunday.
Yeah, there's no question that the Patriots are very much ahead of schedule, right? Yeah. Or at least in terms of the perception that fans and media had of them and what they were going to be this season. But let's compare and contrast the two quarterbacks, right? And especially as a former receiver, right? I'm interested in your sort of inside, been there, done that type take on this. We were talking with Chris the other night, Christopher Price from the Boston Globe, and both Sal and I have covered all of Josh Allen's career from the 2018 draft onward. And, he took some lumps early, right? There was sort of the accuracy issue that he has done such a great job of overcoming coming out of Wyoming. There's the hero ball aspect. Even more recently, he would, in more recent years, it wasn't until last year where he really corrected the turnover issue, right? And had exposed himself to hits maybe that he shouldn't have, all of those types of things. And what has struck both Sal and me about Maye, even last year, with the nothingness of the roster that he had around him, right? I guess his composure and sort of dealing with all of that. And then obviously what he's risen to this year in terms of his game. Who knows ultimately, and obviously he's in the MVP conversation right near the top of that list. Who knows ultimately if over the years his upside will reach what Josh Allen's ultimately has, right? But certainly in year two, I just think he's significantly ahead of maybe where Allen was at that time. So with maybe that as a backdrop, what's your take on the both of them and what they each bring and how they've evolved in each of their careers to this point?
Yeah, I'll talk about Drake first, but Drake, I think, again, he's got a great head on his shoulders. His composure and what he's dealt with since he got into the league. I'm really excited about the type of person he is, the type of football player that he is. And then I think ultimately what it comes down to is he has Josh McDaniels. And Josh McDaniels is a phenomenal coach, and he is a phenomenal coordinator. And you have seen Drake. Josh has taken Drake's football IQ to another level this year. I firmly believe that. I think that Drake is a great quarterback without Josh, but with Josh, I think that it makes him that much better. His ability to diagnose defenses, be able to react quickly, get the ball out of his hands, know where he's going with the football. I mean, he's making all the right decisions. He's being coached very, very well. And I think if he as that foundation as a young quarterback, I mean, who knows what he's capable of doing, in the years to come. Now, that being said, kid still has to go out there and perform, right? I mean, he can't get comfortable with the success that he's had this year. You guys know as well as I know, it's hard to do this year in and year out and be that guy and be the quarterback that he has been for this year. So what happens next year, who knows? But as far as this year, he just continues to just shock and awe people with his ability to get the ball down the field, make good decisions. Not only is he able to stay in the pocket, be comfortable, doesn't seem to be bothered by anything that's, blitzes, any sort of defense, anything that anyone's thrown at his way. I think that he really hasn't been bothered by it. And I think that's two things. I mean, I think that's his preparation and how he's been able to he doesn't look like a second-year player. He really doesn't. And I think that's Josh. I think that's Braves. I think that's the team. I think that he's got an unbelievable amount of trust in his guys that he has there, even the young guys, right? There's no hesitation to throw the ball to a Kyle Williams or to a Matt Collins or to Boudet, right? Like guys that he hasn't had a lot of time with. So, I've been so impressed with him and his ability to handle all the types of situations that he's been in this year. And I'm looking forward. I really am looking forward to this game and for him to play some really meaningful football games and to him to step up into the situation and rise to that occasion where it's not about like no one expected us to be 13-2 or 11-2, whatever our record is, right? No one expected us to be here. I think the over/under in Vegas was 8 or 9 wins, and we've exceeded that. And now you're going into real football that's meaningful to play into the playoffs, like in your second year. So this is now the type of situation where, all right, great, you've been playing really good football up until this point. Like let's take it to another level, right? Let's see the football player that you are capable of being and continue to be. And then we'll really get a sense of, is this kid really that good? And I do think that he is that good. He's done some unbelievable things this year. And I think it really started in Buffalo early on in the season. I mean, he was able to make some tremendous throws and, Josh Allen-esque type plays, getting out of the pocket, avoiding tackles, making plays, with his feet and on the run. His eyes are down the field. He's not just tucking and running when things get, messy on the inside. So I know that Drake is the type of guy that probably, models his game after a lot of people. But like when he got drafted, right, I think I'll go back to the question. It's like, you got to step into Tom Brady's shoes and fill this void at quarterback. And he very quickly, without hesitation, was like, listen, I'm Drake Maye, right? I'm not trying to fill anybody's shoes, but be the quarterback who I am. And I think that to me he's a very mature player, a very young kid that is playing at an exceptionally high level. And I think that he will continue to do so. And then, Josh,
just real quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, man. I mean, Josh is Josh, right? I mean, since he got into the league, I don't think anyone expected him to be the guy that he has become. And I love watching Josh play. I mean, he is a phenomenal football player. Ball is in his hands. Anything can happen, really.
Hey, so real quick before we go, because we're getting close on time here, just defensively, they don't have Milton Williams. Bills are going to try to run the ball. How much of a factor, Chris, do you think that's going to be this week?
Yeah, it's been a big factor for the last couple of weeks without Milton Williams. We were really stopping the run game, with him in there. And I know, teams were averaging, I think we held teams to under, 70 yards in the first half of the season. And then the last couple of games, it's the other team's ability to run the football they've been able to have success. So you got to imagine that the Bills are going to try to get that going early. But with the bye week, hopefully you get some guys healthy, some fresh legs, and we get some plays in the backfield, stop the run game, put the ball in Josh's hands, and try to be able to stop him, because I think at the end of the day it's going to come down to Josh versus Drake type situation. Listen, if you're the Bills, I think you want the ball in Josh's hands and you want him to take over this game. I think it's going to be a challenge for our defense to stop the run game, because they're definitely going to come out and run the football. But I think it's going to be a challenge for our receivers. I mean, our corners. It really is, right? Christian Gonzalez, all of our safeties, anyone who's out there. I think it's going to be a challenge for these guys to be able to stay. Josh can extend plays. It's hard to cover a guy for a long period of time. Down after down. So I think taking away those big plays that Josh is capable of making, when he's scrambling or he's outside the pocket, I think that's going to be critical for our guys to really just stay with, their matchups. And, again, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a shootout for both of these quarterbacks, and it's going to be a fun football game to watch.
All right. So just two quick things before we wrap it up here. FanDuel, the presenting sponsor for this show and others on the Believe Network, has the line at Bills minus 1.5.
Yeah.
And I know that's been, discussed in the New England media and in Foxboro over there this week. Real quick, I mean, how do you see that, and what does that do to the Patriots locker room? How do they use that? I mean, lines are lines, and there's a lot of noise surrounding the NFL. But I would think that has to be at home as an underdog. Internally, that has to be some type of a motivating factor.
Oh, the big time motivating factor.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact that we're the underdog at home with the best record in the NFL, and we have the Bills coming in, to our game, into our stadium in a must-win type situation for them. I mean, just throw a little bit more gasoline on the fire, man. I mean, I'm all for it. I love being the underdog. I've been an underdog my whole life. I think that this team will respond in a really positive way. I think that Mike will have a great message for these guys, and I think that it'll be for them. It's been about the New England Patriots, and me and Chris talk about it, week in and week out. It is not about who we're playing. No one expected us to be here in this type of situation playing against the Bills for an AFC East Championship. Nobody expected it, and I think it is about New England, is about this team, it is about Drake and the guys surrounding him, it is about this defense, and all three phases playing good team football together. And to be an underdog in this, at this magnitude, at this point of the season, I really think that, I couldn't have asked for anything other than maybe a bigger point spread, maybe, and favor the Bills a little bit more. So minus 1.5 is like, all right, like let's flip a coin here, and who we really gonna favor in this game. It was heads. We took the Bills, and so there we go. They're the favorite. But Vegas is Vegas. They know more than I do in these type of situations. But yeah, I think it's a great it's a great situation for us. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. I mean, you guys have been in Foxboro. You've been in New Hyde Park. I mean, it's Orchard Park. I'm sorry. It's been a while. Sorry, guys. It's going to be, it really is. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch this football game on Sunday.
And so that's the last thing I've got for you here. I mean, I hear you refer to the Patriots, you use the term "our," right? And obviously you have some allegiance there, given what you stepped into. But I think it was, I don't have your stats pulled up in front of me. I think you were 3 years in Buffalo and then 3 years in New England?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, okay. 4 years. That's been, most of my first year on the practice squad in Buffalo.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously the franchise was in a far different place when you were there. Yeah. And then you stepped into things on the opposite end, the opposite extreme, with the New England Patriots. But what are your memories of your time in Buffalo, in Orchard Park? and sort of you're part of an era where that stadium's going to close at the end of this season. The new one's going up across the street, whatever way you want to take it. But I think fans would be interested in maybe your reflections of your time in Western New York.
Gosh, I mean, my time, Buffalo has a very special place in my heart. That entire organization gave me an opportunity that not really any other team was willing to give me. And I have friendships and teammates that I still talk to this day. I mean, Fred Jackson was one of my all-time favorite players. Lee Smith, Stevie, Marquise Goodwin, Robert Woods, all those guys that I played. EJ, I can go up and down the list of guys that I played with there that I have very, very special memories of, and playing in Orchard Park at that stadium and on that team. I mean, I know that I played for a handful of different quarterbacks and a mix of different head coaches, but every single year, man, was such. I was so fortunate to be there. And regardless of what types of seasons we had, we had such good football teams. We really did. I really believe that, and we were so close. A couple of the years that I was there. But yeah, I mean, I love Buffalo. I wish I could get back there and see that stadium one more time before I'm sure the new one is going to be spectacular, but I got some special memories in that stadium. My first game suiting up, running out of that tunnel and in front, making a 53-man roster. I mean, training camps at St. John Fisher. I mean, I have some really, really great memories of Buffalo, and my time there was very special. And I have nothing but great things to say about that community, about that city, and everything that is involved. And I say to so many people, I'm so happy that they have found a winning formula, and a coach and a team that is able to kind of bring that sort of energy to Buffalo, especially when it's, you got 3-4 feet of snow on the ground, it's freezing, and that does not stop that city from packing that stadium week in and week out. It's one of the better places that I have ever had a chance to play in, and I really do. I loved my time there, and I will never forget that.
Good stuff. Sal, anything else from you before we wrap it up?
Nope. That was a great way to finish. Thanks a lot, Chris, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
I really appreciate your time. Former Bills and Patriots receiver Chris Hogan with the Patriots Report here on the Believe Network. Sal Majorana, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. I'm Adam Benini, WGRZ TV, and Sports Talk Live, Buffalo, every Monday night, 7 o'clock on Channel 2. Thanks for being with us here on Believe in Bills and Patriots, Sunday at Gillette Stadium.